Hi guys, it's Candy here. Today is going to be a video response, or the start of a few actually. I'm a bit late to the party on this one because it's a video response to the gloriously wonderful Jen over at Science to Soul Tarot, who a month ago, following on from her Tarathon video on healing, which was marvellous, and I'll put a link to that below. She then carried on some of the themes she talked about in that for a tarot and gratitude challenge, a 7-day challenge, which I just thought was lovely. So I have actually been working on gratitude this month so far, and using tarot to help me with my gratitude practice, and it has been completely fantastic. So I wanted to join in and do a video response for it. On the original video that Jen did, she spoke about healing, and anybody that has watched some of my videos will have heard me hint at the fact that I've come from a place, a quite abusive place, and have spent I would say the last 6 years healing from the abuse that I went through, and I'm now no contact with people, and have finally in my 50s stepped into a place of freedom for the first time. So anything to do with healing and the tarot, or gratitude, or anything to nurture yourself, I'm right there from the get-go. You've got me. So Jen, it's a late response, but thank you so much for all you do and your wonderful videos. Everything you do that I watch, I love. Now Jen said something in her Tarathon video that really, it really got to me, and it's something that I've caught myself saying the last couple of years. She said that healing was coming back to yourself, like coming home, like your soul coming home. And I have said so many times in the last year in particular, I feel like I've come home to myself. So when she said exactly the same words, I thought, yes, that's it. You start to discover what I've started to discover, all the things that I used to love that I'd forgotten about. So my gardening, my art, you know, my turning my space into magic, feeling like I can dress up again and put on jewellery. All of it, it's like a journey back, because when you are in a dark place, and for a long time I was there, you kind of forget all of that. So it's a process of becoming whole again and remembering who you are. So healing is definitely, like Jen said, a process of coming home to yourself. And I think gratitude keeps you focused on facing forward. There are lots of things in life that can drag us down and drag us into the past and drag us into bitterness. Just everyday challenges as well can lead us into overwhelm. We all know how that feels, and anything that keeps you focused on the good that you have, even on the worst of days, for me, I'm all there for that. So I started doing the gratitude challenge, and I have been doing it inside my daily tarot journal, which I am absolutely loving using this. And because I knew that I was going to be taking part, I made a double page spread just purely for gratitude, and I built a junk journal on the page so I could record it all and it not take up too much space. So I've been working in my journal every day with it. Now in these big double doors here, I pulled two cards. I pulled one for the next 6 months, and then I pulled one for July, just for this month. And the one I pulled for the 6 months was the 3 of Hearts. So focusing on friendship and connection over the next 6 months, which is good, because one of the things that I've still to work on is, while I was healing, I became slightly agoraphobic and very much hermetized, which is in my nature anyway, but it's time to break free of that. So that seemed really pertinent, and I pulled that. And then the July focus, the overall gratitude focus, it was this one, the Seeker of Wands, which I love that with the ruby slippers. It's all about like that we have the power inside of us. So I did two overall kind of umbrella gratitude cards, and then I started on the daily drawers. So from the 1st of the month I started and I journaled on each one of them, and I'm just going to take you through the first few cards that I pulled, not the whole month. I'll show you the deck I've been using. I've been using, oh, bumping the camera, sorry, a Fairy Tale Tarot, the Inner Child cards. This is by Isha Lerner and Mark Lerner. It's a beautiful deck. It really speaks to my inner child. It's everything that I'm all about. The book is gorgeous. It's black and white, but there's loads of information. And what it does, it takes all of the fairy tales like the Wizard of Oz, Jack and the Beanstalk, Cinderella, all of those childhood tales, and it places each one in a tarot card. So it's really lovely. If you're a big kid like I am, you would love this deck. Cardstock is pretty abysmal. They're very, very thin cards. They're literally like paper, but because the cards are so big, it's actually really good because you can riffle shuffle them because the cardstock's so bad. So I'm actually quite pleased. Initially I was like, oh no, the cardstock is terrible, but now I've worked with it a while, I'm actually quite grateful for the cardstock. There you go, something else to be grateful for. Anyway, that's the deck I'm using. Now I thought it was going to be just a fun, light-hearted way to start my tarot day. Quick gratitude card, pin it up somewhere, print it out, all easy breezy. But similar to other people that I've watched doing this challenge, this process can open quite deeper things to dwell on and to be grateful for. So I was really surprised with where the first few days took me. So on the first day I pulled the Lover's card, which in this deck is Hansel and Gretel, and I looked at the card and I saw the two children hand in hand walking up the path. Now, I am actually a twin. I have a twin brother who I am now no contact with. So initially, my gut kind of lurched at this and it made me feel sad. So it immediately made me reflect on some of the things that I've gone through my healing journey and some of the choices that have been forced upon me. So I was immediately in that slightly deeper place than I expected to be straight away. And then I realised that they were heading on a path to the Candy Cottage. They were on a path to Candy, and it brought me into Jen's phrase about heading home to yourself. And I immediately thought, wow, this is a card about healing. This is all about healing. This is being on that path back home to yourself. And I felt so grateful then that in this story, in my story of healing, that I'm one of the children on the path, because these children in the story, they were abandoned by a weak man, their father, who was taught into letting them go, and he put other things first, and that's one of the things I've had to heal from. A number of weak men in my life who have followed their own desires and put themselves first, despite the carnage it brings on other people. So I'm not the father in the story. I'm not the evil mother in the story, and I'm not even going to go into that. I'm not the wicked witch in the story. I am actually one of the children in the story, just wandering the path, wanting to love, wanting to give out love, wanting to receive love. And I suddenly became grateful for my own heart in this healing story. I'm glad I'm playing the role I am. I can't imagine being in this story and being in one of the other roles. So I am grateful here that I am one of the children in this card, and that path brought me back to Candy. I think depending on what path you play and what role you play, and what choices you make in life, it makes it easier or harder for the veil to drop and for you to get in touch with your soul. I think cruel mothers and weak men find it a lot harder to have the veil drop and to open their eyes and to actually assess what's going on. I think if you're walking the child's path, the path to awakening is a lot easier. I got my arse kicked into awakening. I got pushed to the point where I had no choice but to open my eyes and to take responsibility for some of the choices I'd made that had got me there. Because I got to the point where it was life or death for me to stay where I was or move on. And I think when you walk the path of the children, where you have no choice but to survive, you have no choice but to find out how to make it through the night in the forest, where to walk next, how to find your way home. You have no choice. You've been pushed to that point, and you wake up pretty damn quick. And you take responsibility for decisions that you've made to get you there. So for me, this card, I was so grateful for my healing, and I am so grateful that I walked a path with truth. So immediately I was on healing. So that was healing in the outer world, the things I had to do in the real world to survive. Okay, the second card on day 2, I thought, right, let's have something a bit lighter. And I pulled the Good Fairy card from the Wizard of Oz, the Guide of Hearts. And in the book, it says that she waves a magic wand for Dorothy at the end of her journey on the yellow brick road in Oz, and she tells her that the power was always within her the whole way. She'd got the slippers on her feet. She had the power, so it was to look within. And I thought, okay, we're still with healing here. But this time we're looking at not the outer things that we had to do to heal and the changes we had to make, but the inner healing that we make. So this card really speaks about coming home to yourself, looking into your heart and saying, who was I before all of this? And for me, it led me back to the path to art, to the seaside, to hiking, to nature, to camping, to taking my children to festivals, which I'd always been told no. I bought a little caravan by the ocean. I'd always been told no for that. I put myself on the correct spiritual path for me, like sleeping out on top of mountains with friends. My dogs now all cuddled around me on the sofa. They were never allowed to do that. I have a piano back, although there was a piano in the house before I wasn't allowed to touch it, even though I'm a grade 8 pianist. And I bought my own piano. I now have a piano back. My garden is being gardened again. I always had the power to do that, but I wasn't looking to my heart. I was allowing other people to control it. So we've got 2 cards there. We've got outer healing in this one, the practicalities of actually getting through the woods and escaping the witch and the decisions you have to make and waking up to yourself. And we've got inner healing here, looking to your heart, remembering who you were, bringing back into your life all the things you love. Outer and inner healing, day 1 and 2. I'm so grateful for the path I've walked. Day 3, this one kicked my arse. Was the Judgment card, the 3 little pigs. And I immediately thought about on that path of healing, some of the times that I've thrown judgment out at people. Rightly so in some cases. It's right that I get to own my story and to speak truth about my story, and I won't ever apologise for that. Any abuse victim that is told to be quiet, that's not on, because you have to be able to own your story. But also in owning that story, you've got to be kind. You've got to own it kindly. And you also have to look at your role within that story. What did you allow to happen? Where were your boundaries not in place? You were part of that story too. And I looked at this card and I saw the pigs here lighting the fire, and I saw the wolf on the roof wanting to come down the chimney. And I thought, who is who's right here? Where's the judgment to lie? The wolf is just being a wolf. He just wants to eat pigs. The pigs want to kill the wolf. They're just being pigs. So in somebody's story, somebody is always a villain. And I think it's important to understand that. So this card really speaks to me about the traps that we can fall into as we're healing. We can become quite judgmental. And I think that leads to victimhood and sitting in victimhood for too long. I think if you can look at your story and find the kindness within it, find the forgiveness in it, to understand that abusers abuse because they're abusers, and that the path they've been on has put them there, that they have their own justifications and reasons and histories that lead them to abuse, and that you too were compliant sometimes to that abuse by not having boundaries in place, again brought on by your own story and your own history, that we begin to see everybody as human and everybody as needing at least some forgiveness. Certainly not any access back into my world, but, you know, some forgiveness so that we can move on and cut ties. The pigs feel justified in this, but so does the wolf. That was really important. So find the gift in the path that you've walked, no matter how bleak that path was. Find the gifts, and that sets you free. So I got to the end of day 3 and thought, wow, I'm still in healing. This is crazy. Right, day 4 was the 3 of Swords. This book, in this deck, sorry, is this card. So you see the swords make up the triangle she's playing. The heartbreak card represented as music. And the book talks about this card, that the castle walls around her are a prison of her own making. And although the birds come to tell her that she can be free and just to believe in her freedom, that she still has prison. She's put mental prisons around herself. And the way to knock down those walls are through music and dancing and self-love. So what are we heartbroken? What's been lost here is not the heartbreak of love for others. It's self-love that's been lost. And it gives us a pointer to play and to use music and to sing and to dance to get that self-love back and to step properly into freedom. So you can see I pulled this card, and again I thought, wow, this is literally my whole journey out. This is my journey out. So day 4, we were still in it. I spoke earlier about the piano, and I've got music back now. I was never allowed music in the house either. So I went and bought speakers all over the house and played music, and I discovered music artists that I didn't even know about, like Lady Gaga and Rihanna. I didn't know about any of them because my music wasn't allowed in the house. The need for self-love as well to heal. So self-love was day 4. Day 5 was the Ace of Crystals. And this made me smile because I thought, okay, if we're on, if my gratitude week is all about healing and my healing path, then my spiritual path has got to come into this somewhere, because I left a Christian church, which I tried to dabble back in again, and it wasn't right for me, and I just, as my heart opened up and I began to step into everything I love, I realised that, you know, putting my feet in the earth and flowers and meditation and my experiences with deities and animal spirits, that was pointing me in a totally different direction. So I just embraced it fully. And if anything has felt like coming home, it's that journey. It's my spiritual path and my spiritual walk, which again is absolutely tied up with healing. And this day, me and my middle daughter, Poppy, we'd gone to our local metaphysical shop. It was the first time we'd been out of the house since we began lockdown, for us at the start of March, because of my eldest daughter's condition. And we decided just to put masks on and to attempt to go out. And we went down to our local metaphysical shop to buy some crystals. And this is the day that I pulled this card, the Ace of Crystals, and I couldn't believe it, and the big rainbow coming out of the crystal. Again, I thought, yep, I knew we were going to get a card coming. So I'm grateful for my local metaphysical shop, for the beautiful staff there. Omega Therapies, I'm giving you a big shout out for all you Redditch people. They're the most amazing shop in Redditch. My love of crystals, and my daughter's love of crystals, and my son's love of crystals, and the fact that we have got crystal displays in the house and jewellery, and my spiritual path, which is a huge part of coming home to myself. And then on day 6, having smiled about the crystal card, I then pulled the Guardian of Crystals out of this deck, which is about Mother Earth. So you've still got the link to crystals, but you've got the link to, you know, a wider cause. So Mother Earth, and looking at a bigger cause, holding the world in your hands, and environmental issues, and rewilding my garden, and wildlife gardening, upcycling, and being heavily involved in like rewilding spaces has been part of my healing journey. So this as well was a real pointer to be grateful for my garden, my magic garden. You can see my tours on the video on my channel. I think people can see my love for Mother Earth, so I'm really grateful for that, and that has been a huge part of my journey too. And then on my last day, I thought, wow, I wonder what card I'm going to pull today after this amazing week. And I pulled this one, the 8 of Swords. And the imagery in this just took my breath away after the week I'd had. You can see the figures coming through the darkness, each holding their torch and coming out into light. And this just spoke to me of hope, and the hope that when you're in the darkest of places and it feels like there's no way out, the way out is through. Sometimes it's a lonely old journey, and sometimes you just have to take it one step at a time, and that's all you can manage. But to believe in yourself, and to know that you've got people around that can hand you torches. I liked the fact that they were missing the spider's web here, because I think if you go on a journey like this, you very soon learn that you don't need to keep getting caught up in the same webs. Once you have healed and you've got your boundaries in place and you know who you are, and you're owning your own story rather than other people's versions of you, then you can quite happily survive anything that gets thrown at you and just think, well, abusers abuse, that's what they do, and you can carry on your path out to hope. So this was the final card of the week, and it kind of summed it all up for me. So it's been quite a journey with gratitude and the tarot. So there was outer healing, all the things that we do to get through the woods, to survive the night, to escape the clutches of somebody intent on harm, and the path that you're on when you awaken to what you need to do. Outer healing. Inner healing, trusting in yourself, your journey back to your own heart, your own loves, embracing all that you are, so the inner healing. Not falling into the traps of healing, so judgment of others, owning a victimhood that doesn't belong to you, forgiveness, understanding that we all had our paths that got us to where we were, but knowing when to build the brick house and lock somebody out, but to do it kindly. The need for self-love and play, that you need that for freedom. embracing your spiritual path and all the magic that's around you, taking your healing to a wider cause, and hope, understanding that sometimes it takes one step at a time through a dark place, but you'll have people on the way that hand you torches and teach you not to get caught up in webs, and that you will come out, that you're heading for brighter days. So hope. So that was my 7 days. It was something else. It was really amazing. So amazing, I'm continuing on, and I wanted to do just short videos every day to carry on with the challenge. So I'm going to put these cards modelled back in to this deck, and I am going to give the deck a shuffle, which is going to be hard because my camera is balanced on the table I'm shuffling at, so if you wobble, I'm sorry. So these are massive cards, but they riffle shuffle because they're so massive. You can riffle shuffle them sideways because the cardstock's rubbish. She says, absolutely making a pig's ear of that riffle shuffle. Okay, so what card have I got for today? Oh, I love doing this. I could just sit and shuffle all day, so I'm trying not to rock the camera. Okay, something for gratitude for me. Okay, what have we got? We've got the 7 of crystals. So I'm going to think on that, and I'll come back to you tomorrow. But I will link all of Jen's videos below, and some other videos in the series that I've loved watching. I haven't got to all of them yet, and I intend to. So if you've taken part in this tag and I haven't watched yet, I'm coming to you soon. But I'll link what I can down below, and join in because it's such a beautiful thing to do. Buckle up though, because I think we've all found that it's been quite telling to do. And thank you, Jen, and I'll get back to you tomorrow on that card.